What's up, guys? On this episode of Inspiration Nation, we are starting Papa B.Ray's hot rod truck build. And this build has been a long time coming. We bought this cab, what?
15 years ago, easy.
Easy. It's been longer than that. But easy 15 plus years ago, we started on this, and it's just been sitting out in the weeds collecting dust and rust. The goal is the Run to the Sun Myrtle Beach car show in, was that March?
Yep.
And
this
is the first week of November now. So it won't be finished, but it's going to be a cool hot rod cruiser by then. That's the goal. That's what we're doing. We're going to make all the content all the way through. It's going to be me and Papa B.Ray, father-son, arguing our way through this awesome, nostalgic hot rod build. I'm going to pass the camera off to Papa B.Ray here, and he's going to give you a little walk around and talk about the truck and his vision, because this is not my hot rod. He's the one that's got to like it. I just have to make sure I guide him so that we don't do anything terrible.
Pointing, man.
Yeah, you're just aiming. Let's talk.
This is my truck. I've had 15 to 20 years. I'm gonna have a 350 in it, automatic. I can smoke the tires, which should be bigger tires than that, because I love a good smoke show. I have never growed up, but I love hot rods, and now we're doing one for me for a change.
With no LS?
With no LS, thank God.
Because he's terrified of wires.
Just like the good old 350s. Small block Chevys.
I think this is the first build that me and you've done together. Like, we put a motor in your Impala, and we did you and your buddies did the Doom Buggy back in the day.
Yep.
But this is actually the first father-son hot rod.
That was
for
ours.
you.
Oh, for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we started it 15 years ago, but this is the first hot rod build for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's time to build Papa B.Ray a cool hot rod.
I can cruise around.
And cruise around. So
it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have to get on them every now and then, so you'll see that.
Oh yeah.
But I want to leave the original firewall, kinda. I gotta cut it some, but I like the original look on the firewall more than a smooth one.
Now what he's talking about is these factory stamping just looks way cleaner than like a smooth firewall. So what we'll do is we're going to come in and weld up all the unnecessary holes that we don't need. We're going to keep the factory stamping in it, and what would end up more than likely possibly have to do would be to massage this bottom section here to clear out for the transmission tunnel and make it all flow together. But to kind of make it look, I don't know, OEM plus, right? Like Chevy should have done it that way instead of running wiring all out everywhere. But that's the goal for the firewall. But the first things first, we've got to get the cab mounted so that we can figure out where the motor is going to be set at, because we've already established the stance and the proportions front to rear of what we're looking for, and the cab has got to be there. Everything else can be moved. Cab's got to be there. So let's fab up some motor mounts, or not motor mounts. So let's fab up some cab mounts. So the first thing we're going to focus on is these front cab mounts, because right now the truck is actually setting on the rear floor pan, and the cab is just sitting up here on the front. This bar, this tack welded in, I actually have to lift it up a little bit, but right where the factory cab bolt was on both sides got cut when we pulled the cab off of the old four-wheel drive chassis that was on way back in the day, because I think this was an actual military or state-owned truck, because it was on a big cab. But so the plan for the front cab mounts is to utilize where this factory bolt hole is cut in half. What I'm going to end up doing is plating, cut a nice new thicker plate for there to reinforce the cab down to it and everything. But we're going to be putting, because that hole and that hole are in the same location, so we're going to utilize that area for the front cab mount. All right, so I actually have a scrap pile find of the day for real. These are the extra long pieces that I cut off when I did the 67 to 72 rear bumper on the OBS here. These are the 67 to 72 bumper brackets, that the pieces I cut off. All I did was square them up so that they're the same, And I'm gonna come around here and we're gonna, look at that right there. Tack weld them on the frame, but I gotta jack up the frame so that it sets level with the top of the frame rail there. But yeah, so no need to fabricate. Just go dive in the scrap pile, and it's super thick metal. It'll be more than enough to hold the front of the cab. And that's what we're looking like. I got that bad boy welded on solid. Now it's time to make sure that that side is measured exactly like this side. Now I'm gonna be honest, I did not measure a thing on this side. Got the cab where I wanted it at. We measured to make sure it was side to side on the chassis properly, which I'm gonna have to drill new holes in the cab at the bottom anyways. My goal was just to get where I wanted the cab so that it looked aesthetically pleasing. Tacked in the first one. Now all I got to do is make the other side identical, which means I get to break out the measuring tape. But that's the goal, is to get those two where they're the same so that we can set the cab down and get rid of this bar so that we can go on and look at setting the small block Chevy and turbo 350 transmission to see how much we have to cut out of the firewall to make all that stuff happy. With in mind keeping, we don't want to channel the floor and stuff because Papa B-Ray's getting old. And getting in and out of the hot rod is the most important part. So we're not going to be channeling the body and setting it down on there. We will probably chop the top on it, but I want to get it all together as a running hot rod and see how Papa B-Ray likes riding around in it and getting in and out of it. If he can get in and out of it sparing 2 or 3 inches, then we'll cut it and he just had to duck his head a little bit. But as of right now, that's where we are. Got to get the other motor mount done. I'm gonna go on and knock that out in 3, 2, 1. And like that, I've got both front cab mounts welded to the chassis. They're burned all the way in, and it looks really, really, really good. Everything landed exactly where I wanted it to, obviously, because we use that old tape measure. But if you look, they landed pretty much where the factory bolt stuff is going to be. I'm still going to have to center the cab up a little bit because I bumped it when I was doing all this stuff, but everything is lining up perfectly. They're exactly 41.5 inches to the front of that to the end of the frame rail, so that should set us solid. I'm gonna bolt the front up and then we'll move on to the back. All right, new day, new me, and we got the front ones all welded in, and now it's time to move on to the back. I did go on and kind of jankily secure the front there with some washers that kind of like hold it down on the edge there, because that right there, I got the cab all centered up and that'll hold good enough to make the rear brackets, because the goal is to get the rear brackets made because all of the actual the metal and everything there is super intact and strong. So what I can do is, if I can make the rear body mounts right and fully bolt down and secure the rear, that'll allow me to figure out what I need to fab up in the front there to make it where it's super strong and the cab won't just like fling off if Papa B-Ray decides to hit them corners a little too hard, you know what I'm saying? So right now I'm going to make the rear cab mounts out of 2x2 box tubing, and I've cut some cardboard 2 inches by like however long, and I'm going to lay down here. I've got the cab all centered up on the chassis, and I jacked the cab up a little bit, so I got a little over 1/4 of an inch of gap between the body. And now what I'll do is I'll make the cab mount come off and set flat to the bottom of the cab there, so whenever I put my like rubber isolator in there, it will actually space it up just a little bit more. But the goal is right now to make a 2x2 cardboard template from here to here. So that's what we're, these are the two pieces that I'm looking at making it, looking like that right there. All right, so it'll weld to the chassis and go over. So now let's go transfer it to the box tubing. So I did a little revision to the cab mount. I'm not going to use the 2x2 box tubing, honestly, because it just looked like it was going to be like cheap looking. So I made a little template. Made a little template to where it's going to sit flat up against the frame there, and it'll come out, and where the factory body mounts on the bottom of the cab are will sit right here on this pedestal. And I'm cutting out 4 of them, so I just do 2, and then I'm just going to weld a little square plate on the top there, just to I don't know, to kind of skeletonize it. Plus it'll still be strong, and it'll look a lot nicer if you ever lean under and look. So I'm gonna cut these out with the old plasma cutter, and let's see what we can get going. Alright, since we don't do the whole CAD filing and send cut send thing like 90% of the other people on the old YouTubies here, we did it the old school way. We cut it out with a plasma cutter, and we clamp them all together, and we're going to grind them so that they are all the same. And yeah, that's how we're going to do it. So yeah, let's get to grinding. Might have got a bit carried away and didn't grab the camera here, but I've got them pretty much put together. It's actually pretty cool. I used a piece of 2x2 tubing to clamp it and square it all up. I probably should have recorded this part, but yeah, I got the two rear body mounts. They just need to be cleaned up and welded on. Woo, that's still hot. But yeah, got them on or welded up. Now let's go put them on the truck. All right, now what I'm gonna do is bolt the 2 cab mounts that we just made to the bottom of the floor, and then I can take this jack and jack it up to where I can get it on the chassis at the height I want it at, and get the proper rake of the cab and all that stuff, and then I'll just burn it in place. Crap. I gotta grind the chassis first. I'm gonna grind the chassis first. To be continued.
A few moments later.
All right, I think we're good now. It was almost a undersight there, and then I had to unbolt it. And this is gonna suck anyway, so we don't want to do that. Get the thing bolted up. I love it when a plan starts to come together. This is gonna be awesome. Now we gotta get her. I messed up and I took the handle out of the jack. Oh shit. This is gonna suck. I need bigger muscles. What do y'all think? Got a pretty good gap there. Here, let me turn you around. I'll say that's a pretty good gap. Everything's crusty rusty. I'm gonna get it all fabbed up, and then we'll get it all cleaned and sandblasted and painted underneath. But that'll be a pretty good gap. And then you consider this probably gonna have a little rubber isolator. But I think that's gonna look good. The cab does have to shift over that way, so I know there's a gap. All right, I got this one bolted up. I'm gonna go get the other one bolted up, and then we're gonna stand back and make sure we get the right rake on the cab, and then I'm gonna weld it in place with our hot glue gun. All right, we got them bolted up. We gotta check out the rake. Papa B.Ray, yeah. Come here, stand back. What do you think of the rake on the cab? Is that perfect?
Yeah.
Cool. Now let's stick it together. All right, now I got it welded in and everything's all set. It is 100% a solid hot rod here. I mean, shake it, we are all good. Cab is mounted. That's a wrap, getting the cab mounted on Papa B.Ray's hot rod. The next thing up is getting the motor mounts and stuff cut off of it. I had to look at it and think about it. We got to get the motor mounts cut off and move forward so that we can mount our small block Chevy in its right position. But for this video, we're going to end it right here. The cab is mounted, and make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. In the video just to keep recording for the next video. Stay tuned.